the remains confirmed to be those of Mike Gaine. We kind of knew that, but still, the confirmation, even more sad news for the family.
Yeah, very sad indeed. And I suppose everyone, including the investigating team that are investigating this from Killarney Garda Station, or based in Killarney Garda Station, were working on the assumption through, I suppose, logic that this was, these remains were Mike Gaine, but the confirmation coming through, I suppose yesterday early, the confirmation coming through that the DNA had confirmed it. And I think the family, that was public confirmation, the family, according to sources, had been notified a number of days previous to that, because they've been kept up to date at all times by a Garda liaison officer, and that's a very important role for Garda Síochána to play for them, because it's a very difficult period and a very difficult time, and with all of the continuing focus on this as well, and the continuing fact that it's a live investigation, it's making it very hard. Even people talking over the weekend were kind of wondering about a funeral, but even that is uncertain at this stage because of the nature of what's happening here.
Now, already, as we know, at the beginning of the search for Mike, who was deemed to be missing at the beginning, to the now murder investigation, there's been intensive searching of the farm, the outbuildings and the surrounding land. What's going on now?
Yeah, that continued last week. It really kind of, I suppose, ramped up and back into operation with the confirmation of what had been found on Friday week last. And from then on through Saturday and Sunday into Monday and Tuesday, there was intensive work and intensive searching being done there, analysis and digging and sifting, and the slurry tank in Mike Gaine's shed, the 50,000 litre slurry tank, was, essentially taken apart. Members of the Defence Forces there, huge numbers of Gardaí and technical investigators as well. So that's what's been happening. It's continued on every day of last week. I was there Friday again myself, and excavators are working on site as well. And there was also, during the week, as you remember, a discovery of this machine, or this a chainsaw, I should say, and that has been sent to Forensic Ireland's laboratory to see if any DNA is available from that. And that work has continued. The digging has continued even after the discovery of that chainsaw. There's one or two excavators that are busy on site. But on Friday, the Defence Forces Special Engineering team was still there. There seemed to be less activity at the site on Friday, but the excavators were still digging. And what they were digging was being searched through painstakingly by the Defence Forces and the Garda investigators. This morning again, I passed the site. Those excavators are still on site. They're still, the farm is still sealed off. It is still a crime scene, and it remains to be seen how much longer they will be sealing off the farm and continuing to search. But the work is not yet done on what they want to search at the farm of Mike Gaine's in Carrick East.
Now, the challenge for the team was always, could this be a murder investigation without a body? They now have secured portions, at least, of a body. But then the next phase would be to find the cause of death, and the third phase would be to try and identify a perpetrator. This is not going to be easy.
No, certainly not, Pat. And that's the key question that still, I'd imagine, remains to be answered. How in fact did Mike Gaine die? What was the cause of death? And those are one of the questions that the investigators will have to answer in relation to bringing this to a resolution. We also have, of course, the prospect of how long the remains were there, the condition they were in, the DNA, how much that will scientifically be able to tell the investigators about what happened, when it happened, and essentially how it happened.
Now, a man referring to himself as the chief suspect in the case gave some interviews to some journalists over the weekend. That's a very unusual thing to happen, although we can recall that Ian Bailey identified himself as the chief suspect in the murder of Toscan de Plantier.
Yeah, lots of focus on this over the weekend, lots of intense media activity on it over the weekend as well. This man approached on the street by journalists, a number of different interviews that he's given in relation to this, and identifying himself as the suspect and talking about various aspects of what he was asked about by the Gardaí, and talking about, what he has said about his innocence in relation to this as what he claims. So that's kind of all playing out, and it's adding really, I suppose that he's based in Tralee. We understand he's living in some sort of council supported accommodation in Tralee as things stand. Also, a rather bizarre report that he was busking at one stage on the streets of Tralee playing a flute. That was when the first indications came that that's where he was, and then he spoke to journalists after that, and again more coverage in the newspapers this morning. But this is kind of adding to the fact that obviously, Pat, this is a live investigation, but adding to, I'd imagine, the distress of the family in relation to it, and aside from all of that, then the realisation this has been 8 to 9 weeks of the most incredibly difficult time for them. Alongside that, then there's the continuing online speculation, which isn't helpful either. We had independent councillor Johnny Healy-Rae on the programme this morning talking about that aspect of it and talking about just how rough and difficult and sad this has been for the Gaine family, and this final confirmation, he made the point that, look, we were all working off the assumption that it was, and there is a need for closure, and there always was right from day one when this is a missing persons case, the hope that something would be found, but that didn't make it any easier when it came and when it was delivered, and this continues on, the whole saga for the family, all of the media attention, all of the decisions made by people to give interviews, and claim or say and state that, yes, I was the person. It's all adding to what's a very delicate and difficult time for everybody in Kenmare, but particularly his wife Janice, his sisters Noreen and Catherine, and the wider Gaine family.